Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy Jack here at the IrishHotspur, bringing you the fan show, the Monday fan show, where we basically go through as many fans as possible. Everybody gets a nice, long, lengthy sort of say on all the news sort of topics that maybe we've been discussing on panel shows and whatnot. We have plenty to discuss today. I have plenty of questions lined up, everybody. The link should be there for everyone with that fan show membership. So if you do have that fan show membership, the link should be in your community section here, everybody. If you are trying to get that fan show membership, I did put the link right here as well to become a channel member. But let's greet a bit of the Harris Army before we start kind of bringing on the guests. We're going to go through plenty of guests today, and I'm pretty sure plenty are going to be popping on as we get going. Rufus, who we're going to be speaking to later, all the way out in Freiburg. Good to see you, my man. Moondog. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you, Moondog. Thank you for joining us. Ricky Nato saying good evening, brothers. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Ricky. Theo's in the house. Good to see you, Theo. Dan Coy saying a very good evening, Jack. Very good video this morning from Ali Gold. Not worried just yet, but would like some signings before preseason. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. Yeah, I think, it's understandable now when people are starting to get a bit desperate, starting to get a bit impatient because really not much time left until, the boys set off for Korea, and preseason more or less has essentially started anyways. So they do need to start getting some signings through the door, especially this week, Dan. Big week ahead of us. Tottenham Gold saying big week ahead for Spurs. Can we get some of the deals over the line? Hope we get all we need to be patient because the Don will work his magic. Won't be on tonight, but see you Friday. Big up, Dermot. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man. Sorry that we're going to miss you, brother, but hopefully we catch you Friday. And everybody do check out Tottenham Gold. They just did a fabulous stream on Keith Birkinshaw. They had Philip, Ellie, and Ishan as well, who is represented a bit of the younger crowd like myself. Absolute baller stream by Dermot. And, it was one of those really informative ones as well that you should definitely check out. So Tottenham Gold here, everybody. And also, like I said, everybody who is joining us, over 104 in the house, smash that like button. You can hit that channel membership here if you want to get that fan show membership. It will be in your community section. RAI is in the house. Good to see you, my man. Mick Hermelock. Always good to see you, Mick. Welsh Gal saying big up, Jack and Harris Army. Let's see some players holding up the shirt. Absolutely, Welsh Gal. And again, I can see why people are getting a bit impatient with the signings here. Anthony Gray, good to see you. Mark Burke saying go away for a few weeks and come back to this crazy transfer window. Don Fabio and Conte doing bits so far. Good to see everyone tonight. Good to see you, Mark. And I guess if maybe you didn't know what was going on in the transfer window, what some of the signings Spurs have made so far, I guess you would be sort of maybe a bit impressed. But Mark, if you've been through it this whole time, people are starting to get a bit impatient, my man, because we do need to get more through the door. Good to see you as well. Another Mark in the house. To bottom Duda. Big up to bottom Duda. Always good to see you. And thank you for wishing the chat well tonight, my man. Absolute legend. We have R Green as well. Good to see you, R Green, saying evening, chaps. Good to see you, my man, R Green. Wes the King, who just joined us the other night, is in the house. Good to see you, Wes. Martin Walton, all the way from flatcapeurotalk, my man. Good to see you. We have Andy as well. Just making sure. Adrian Schrock, I really do appreciate you tuning in, Adrian. Zoe's in the house as well. Always good to see Zoe. We have Crack as well. And then Tequila 316. Big up Irish and Company. Big up Tequila. Good to see you, my man. Golden Cockerel saying, evening lovelies. Am I the only one thinking Red Bull name their price for Gvardiol? If they're stating a 50 million release clause is being put in his new contract, it's kind of good news, Golden Cockerel, because at first we thought this wasn't, really, good signs that he was signing a new contract, but that new contract could actually come with a release clause, which then means you could basically just trigger it probably right away and, have him come over to Spurs if he's, intent on leaving Leipzig. So an interesting call there, Golden Cockerel, for Spurs to take if he is going to include that release clause. Big up, my man. Just making sure I'm not missing anybody. We do have Chris in the house. Good to see you. We are going to be speaking to him later. Rob Ragnarsson. We have Angel Matos. Irish Flat Cap for life. Absolutely, Angel. And really do appreciate all your support, brother. Good to see you in the chat, my man. Tyler Gritsula saying, where are defender signings? Why are all the heavy rumors in attacker? I know Sean feels the same way, my man. It feels like we're assembling the car backwards right now. King Hoddle, absolute legend. Good to see you. Just making sure I'm not missing everybody. By the looks of it, I'm not. KPV is in the house as well. Good to see you, KPV. Well, everybody, we're about to start bringing on the guests. So what I would say, everybody, is do smash that like button while you're already in here. There's over 120 already in the building. So do smash that like button. We are going to go through plenty of questions for the guests here today. I have plenty of things, Spurs related in terms of, news. And then I also have things that are kind of just more kind of debate, sort of kind of kind of questions, just things that, are not even about the news. Because I feel like people are getting a bit, sick of, just talking about transfer possibilities, just talking about, journalists, kind of coming up with fake stories. So we also have kind of good questions that, we've more or less come up with, on the recent debate shows and panel shows that you guys have seen recently. So the guests will also be answering those as well. But everybody, we are going to get into it. So like I said, do hit that membership if you do want to join us, and we're going to get the party started. But we are going to start with the Godfather, as always. Always good to start with him. Philip Brady, how are we doing tonight, Philip? And usually I don't need to tell you, where to start, but I guess maybe the big news people are thinking about is Anthony Gordon and Richarlison.
Yeah. Well, I was watching Gordon last season, and he stood out in a very poor Everton side. And what was his breakthrough season? So I think, with the proper training, which you won't get at Everton, to be honest with, not under Lampard, the proper, guidance and training, that guy could be a real star in the future. And I'd love to see him at Spurs. And I know people are saying, Everton won't sell their best talent. Everton might have no choice because they're under severe pressure on the financial fair play.
Didn't you say they have a deadline by Thursday?
Yeah, I read somewhere. Apparently, their financial year finishes on Thursday, 30th of June. And whatever pressure they're on, they have to make either have players sold or players committed to sell to repay whatever they have to repay. I don't know the mechanics of it, but I just know that whatever's happening is happening this Thursday. And I know that their owners are supposedly got the club up for sale for 500 million. With the knowledge that with this new ground that they're building, it's going to cost the potential buyer at least the same again to build the ground. So Everton are not in a good place at the moment in a lot of ways.
Is it just like sheer financial mismanagement that they're in just such a position? Because to me, it was so shocking that they could give away a player like Anthony Gordon. I think some people were saying we could get him for 30, 20 million or something like that.
Yeah, it could be a fire sale. It could be a fire sale. So that's I'm hoping it is. Now, I don't like to see Everton. I mean, I like Everton. I think they're well, decent club. I don't like to see them in trouble. But if their trouble can benefit Spurs, bring it on.
I mean, what do you make of the fact, though, that if it's a fire sale for Spurs where we're taking all of Everton's best players and then simultaneously we're sending them Winks and Dele Alli, like that's not really, it seems a fair trade, at all. I feel quite bad for them. The best
way I can answer that would be no comment.
Yeah, I guess we're supposed to be saying it's a great deal, to them.
Any Everton fans watching, Harry Winks is a brilliant player. He would be absolute godsend to your squad, Can I uncross my fingers? Yeah.
What if you? I've made this comment though before, Philip, that I don't know if we can get away with 5 attackers next season, because if we're going to play that 3-4-3, it would be really tough. I feel like to imagine just to have 2 backups for the attacking position. So if we do sell Bergwijn, does it maybe make a lot of sense that we're then replacing him with like a homegrown Anthony Gordon?
Yeah. Well, I saw tonight that Conte is supposed to be holding back the Bergwijn transfer until
in order to bring in an attacker.
Yeah. So that makes sense, I mean, we're going to be stretched on all fronts. We've got how many competitions in next season? 4 competitions. Yeah, FA Cup, League Cup, Champions League, and the league. So 4 competitions with upwards of 60 matches. The more the merrier. So, we're going to have a good backup, and Gordon will be a good one. Richarlison certainly
just healthy rotation. Healthy rotation is all. Sometimes we just don't need it to be Son and Kane every match. I feel like maybe for a Carabao Cup, you can have Son or Kane. Maybe be that focal man there, and then it gets filled in with a Richarlison, an Anthony Gordon, a Lucas Moura, if you will, as well. I just feel like you said, that many cup competitions that we're going to be pushing for. And if you ask me, we probably have a better chance of winning probably, one of those domestic cups than we do maybe any sort of trophy. Yeah. So we do have to still take those seriously. I think, maybe the forward line is the area that probably needs the least dramatic improvement, but we need numbers there. I think still, you still need to have, backups and quality backups, at least. So I think sort of makes sense that,
I think what Conte wants to do next season, and it makes absolute sense, is that we don't have a first 11 as such. We have a floating or a rotational squad where nobody is, like some games this season, you can really pick the team where you knew what it was. Next season is going to be a lot more rotation, as you say, and to keep players fresh. Like, with all due respect to the Carabao Cup, if I don't see Kane or Son probably starting that if we have Richarlison and Gordon, that type of rotation, So keep the players fresh, play them in the matches that they're most suited to, and this is going to be. We've started Conte's first pre-season with Spurs, and if you can believe what other teams have said in the past, those boys are going to need another holiday by the time the season starts.
Some people are pointing out, Philip, that he's going after like very physical, kind of players, like big, strong players, or even players that have a bit of an attitude. Do you feel like there is also a certain player profile type that he's going after in like a physical sense?
Spurs have had a reputation in the past of being a bit too nice. They're very nice. They're no shithousery, except for Eric Lamela. So I mean, Richarlison will bring that with him in spades. Really, he would, And I don't want to see a nice Tottenham team next season. I want to see a Tottenham team like the snarling lions going after players, getting stuck in, bringing the dark arts a bit into their game. Time wasting when you have professional fouls when need to be. I know it's not really the way Spurs play their football, but if it's going to bring us to success, and I don't think Conte is too worried about being nice. He wants to win, and they win at all costs.
Are these the players that Conte is identifying because he wants these type of players, or do you think he realized, like you were saying, that Spurs had such a lack of these sort of players that maybe he's like,
we've never had we haven't. We've had hard men in the past, like Graham Roberts, the likes of him, Dave Mackay and all that, Steve Perryman. We would like to see one of them in the midfield, coming in and really just putting himself about a wee bit. And that's where I see what's his name, the boy from Brighton, we have to sign it. His name just Basuma. I can see him filling that role. I saw a quote from him during the season where he said, Basuma said, there are a lot of very good midfielders in the Premier League, but I'm the best of them. I'm the best of them. I love to see that. I absolutely love to see that. That guy's coming in and he's going to put himself about. And that's what we need. Now, the only thing
he's a top four midfielder, I feel like, Philip. So he's not even wrong to be, saying that, because
he said that when he was playing for Brighton. He said that when he was playing for Brighton,
And I think, was it you that even said that he could even make a case? Someone's even said like he gets into most of the top four teams. Maybe the Man City one is where it's a struggle, but someone went as far to say is like, Basuma plus De Bruyne sounds pretty good on paper. How could he not make it into that Man City team?
I mean, as far as I can see, he is the signing of the season so far. To get him for that type of money, we could have easily paid twice that fee for him. And there will be players transferred during the season that they'll go for 50 million on behalf of the players that Basuma is. Like I'm seeing Arsenal fans creaming themselves over the fact that they've signed Jesus for 45 million. Now, Jesus was a backup striker in a team that didn't even play a striker. So you can work that one out. He's never scored more than 15 goals a season. Yeah, he's the answer to all Arsenal's problems. Just shows you how far they've sunk below us.
Absolutely. And so maybe, with, the signing of Jesus, I don't know, Philip, some people did really want Jesus, which is, fair to them. But what have you made of the fact that it looks like Richarlison is, probably eventually headed to Spurs? Yeah. Let's say we did sign Richarlison. It hasn't happened. Like, don't get me wrong, it hasn't happened. But Richarlison versus Jesus, which club is happier, would you say?
Oh, I mean, I'd take Richarlison every day of the week over Jesus.
Yeah, because the whole panel last night was saying that as well.
He didn't score in the last 15 matches for City. He's never scored more than 15 goals a season. I mean, Harry Kane and Son do that in their sleep every season. So, Richarlison brings an awful lot more to the party than Jesus does, Richarlison puts himself about. He doesn't like to lose. He's an attitude about him, a good hard attitude. He brings the Lamela element back to the club. Whereas I think Jesus, he's not going to a retirement home, but he's going the next best thing to it,
Yeah, it's the next best thing, exactly, Philip. Oh, I love that.
With
Philip,
apologies to any Arsenal fans watching.
I just want to maybe talk about something that you brought up earlier where, maybe I feel like there are going to be some players that are going to try to impress, Antonio Conte this season. You brought up Troy Parrott, and I feel like maybe, what do you think? Like Brian Hill, Papa Matasar, could you make a guess that one of those might change Conte's mind, about what he thinks of them?
I think what's going to happen here, those guys are going to be brought away on the tour to Korea. And that's their chance to impress Conte under them and the other two pre-seasons against Seville and Roma. That's their chance. If they don't impress or don't show that they've got what Conte wants, then they will go back on loan again, I think. Now, Troy Parrott is an interesting one. Troy Parrott has gone. It took about a week off after the Ireland internationals, and then he went off to Mykonos to get involved in a build up and workout to keep his working on weights and stuff to get his bulk up a bit. So I think Troy Parrott still has a huge role to play at Spurs. Now, maybe not this season coming. I think he may be loaned. It depends on who we buy. If we don't get a striker in, Parrott will stay at the club, I think. If we do get a striker in, like Richarlison, I think he'll go out on loan to a top championship side with a view to coming back and doing a Harry Kane once he's come back after all these loan spells. Because the guy has got talent. He's only 20 years of age. He has an awful lot to learn, and he's learning fast. He was very impressive for Ireland there, the game that he played, scored a very good goal. And I think that he will be one that Conte is keeping a very, very close eye on. Maybe not this season, but certainly for the season after next.
Now, Philip, I know you're already deep into this conversation, but why not give you another heavy question here? Why do you feel like we were discussing this the other night? Why do you feel like Richarlison splits opinions so much? Because everybody likes Rafinha, but Richarlison seems to split opinions.
Yeah, I think maybe he does blow hot and cold a little bit, but then again, he's playing for Everton.
Who doesn't then? Who wouldn't?
The whole Everton team blew hot and cold last season. They only got hot near the end to save us to stay up. I think it's. I don't know whether the people they mightn't like his attitude. I personally love his attitude.
Yeah,
I love his attitude. We need that. I mean, but let's face it. If you gave Spurs fans a list of 10 players, I can guarantee nobody would agree on the 10 that you wanted to take in. I'll say you were given, okay, there's 10 players on the list. We want 5 of them, and gave it to 15, 20 Spurs fans. You wouldn't get one agreement. We'd all want different players. And that's just the human nature of things, We'd all want different things. I certainly want Richarlison in. I'd like Rafinha in as well, but we're hardly going to get 2 of them.
And what do you make of the fact that, it seems like Arsenal are kind of pushing for Rafinha? Would that worry you if he went over there? Because that's kind of my feeling about it.
It would worry me if he chose Arsenal ahead of Spurs. Say we were both in for him and he went to Arsenal, then I would say that guy's got no judgment, so we don't need him. But if he does go to Arsenal, Arsenal will have a reasonably good forward line. But no matter what team Arsenal put out next season, they're still stuck with Lego Man as manager, whereas we have Antonio Conte.
That's kind of my thing with Rafinha, is that's where I would worry for him. Is like, does he really want to trust the Lego Man? To put him in the right position. And the same thing goes for Jesus, if you ask me. Philip. Like Jesus originally was playing for a team that gets more chances than any other team in Europe. When you kind of think about it, he's now going to a B-Tech Man City, which is essentially what Arsenal could be described as. Is he going to really succeed under a Lego Man, as a B-Tech Man City sort of side?
Well,
it sounds like
I hope nobody succeeds under Lego Man for obvious reasons, But I mean, I think Jesus has taken the fact he was going to be a bench warmer for City next season, as he was this season gone by. If he came to Tottenham, he'd be a bench warmer. That's the difference. He walks straight into the Arsenal team because they've got nobody else, basically. Whereas he comes to Tottenham, he's 3rd choice, 4th choice, because I wouldn't put him ahead of Kulusevski. So that puts him 4th choice and going from one bench to the other, which isn't going to do him or his career any good. So he'll go to Arsenal, but he's going to Arsenal because I don't think anybody else really made a serious bid for him, and that's just it. Now, if Rafinha goes to Arsenal, they'll have a decent forward line, but that's about it.
Philip, I feel like, this was a heavy one, to give you. So why not maybe end on an easy one? Kulusevski was recently in a Swedish podcast and he had, Romero's Argentinian kit on, in some video I think he was wearing recently, doing recently. He was asked, why, did you have a Romero Argentinian kit on? And he said, he's simply my favorite player. And he said, why is your favorite player? And he responded, all you have to do is just watch him play.
Yeah. I think he's a lot of people's favorite player, to be honest. I mean, he's the guy has got so much talent, and again, he's got that little spark edge about him that he won't sit back and take. Like I guarantee you, Romero will be sent off a couple of times next season. That's he plays on the edge all the time, and sometimes it's going to go over the edge. But I love him to bits. He's going to be a rock of our defense for many years to come, hopefully. And if we can bring in, it looks like Gvardiol is maybe not coming. See, I read somewhere he's signed a contract, but the release clause might not kick in until next season. So that might be an issue. If he signed the contract and it kicks in immediately, fair dues, go and get him, because we're not getting Botman. He's made the big mistake going to Newcastle, for the money. He's put money before his career. Then we're not going to get Bastoni, looks like. So we're running out of options a wee bit on centre backs.
We are running out of options. It's a bit scary, to be fair, Philip. I agree with you. Just on this, still on the Romero topic. Again, just to let you go with this one. Do you feel like this was an unfair comparison? You can shoot me down with this, but is Romero going to essentially be like our Sergio Ramos? Would you say, like Tottenham Sergio Ramos?
Yeah, I had great hopes that he would be, because he's got everything going for him. Like he's one of the first names on the Argentinian team sheet when the Argentina play. He's got skill to beat the band. He runs out. He comes out with the ball. He just doesn't hoof it up the pitch. He's a thoughtful player. He's got skill. He's got talent. He's got an eye for a pass. Great guy, and it was a great steal to get him last season. It really, really was.
Absolutely, it was. Well, there you are, everybody. The Godfather, he got us warmed up today, with the fan show. Good, kind of spell, gave him, some of the questions. I think, we fed him the ones that he probably wanted. Anything that you've just quickly, Philip, I don't want to be rude. Anything that that I missed that you did want to talk about?
No, I'd say to the fans, I see a lot of maybe people getting a little bit impatient now that we haven't made any signings for a couple of weeks. I'm not worried at all, because Paratici's doing what he usually does. He's balancing about 4 plates on the one spinner. He'll go after 4 players in the one position and then eventually choose one of them. So I think that's what's going to happen. And now
He's taking a break. Like I said, it's a tasting menu. It's a tasting menu. You get a bit of a break.
The one thing that does concern me slightly is the word that Daniel Levy had taken over the negotiations for Jed Spence. And if that's the case, we're not getting Jed Spence, because he won't pay the money Middlesbrough are looking for him. And that's the only drawback. Unless Conte has a word and says, listen, I want Jed Spence.
He's just, he wants to have everything in the deal go his way, Daniel Levy. And I just don't see that working with Middlesbrough. They don't seem like a club that want to get, kind of done over, by Daniel Levy, I would say. So
I'll tell you one thing. What Daniel Levy should do was he should look at what the 2 concerts that are coming up at the stadium on Friday and Saturday night, Guns N' Roses. He should allocate the profit on the beer money at those 2 concerts, and that would buy Jed Spence. Almost.
He should realize that. But
I'll tell you, I was at a concert in Dublin on Friday at the Eagles, and I tell you one thing: I've never seen so much drink consumed at a concert in all my life, and it was $7.50 a pint. So he's making money at the weekend. If he's short $1 million, he'll make it up on Friday and Saturday night.
He'll make it up on our Europa League, or not a Europa League. He'll make it up on a Champions League.
Yeah.
Well, everybody. Big up Philip in the comments, everybody. Starting us off the right way on the fan show tonight. Philip, appreciate you coming on, my man.
No problem, Jack. See you again. Come on, you Spurs.
See you, bro. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Philip. Everybody, show the Godfather some respect in the comments, people. Everybody, keep smashing that like button. Over 200 in the house right now. We're going to keep getting through the fans here. Do smash the like. Hit that channel membership. It is at the very, very top of the chat if you can't find it. You can also find it in the description as well. Grab the fan show membership. For everybody that does have the fan show membership, the link to come on is already in your community section right now, waiting for you to come on. But we are going to go to the next guest here, and it is Elias. Elias, how we doing, my man?
Good. How are you doing, Jack?
Doing all right. Had a good conversation with Philip just now, and maybe I think we have to sort of start off, with the Richarlison plus, Anthony Gordon, sort of rumors. Do you feel like this is something that excites you? Is this something that makes sense? I was kind of, given a bit of slack, I must say, in the Irish Hotspur group chat because I thought that this deal would be, an absolute steal for Spurs if it's like around 60 million. Like I was like, no way, Everton would sell him for that little, but apparently Everton, Elias, are flat broke and they need money by Thursday. So they're not in a great, they're not in a great negotiating position right now.
I guess it makes sense. Yeah, definitely, I agree with you. It's actually a steal for us as in Spurs,
Mm-hmm.
because we do need an attack, and I would like to emphasize again on the fact that next year you are no longer just with three substitutes. You are allowed to make five substitutes. So, in order to counter with the some of the top teams like Man City, Liverpool, you do need a variety in your attacking lineup as well. You just can't rely on Son and Kane in every single tournament. If you're playing four tournaments, that's crazy amount of matches actually that you have to play in a year. So I personally think that we do need a backup winger and a backup striker. And of course, as you all know, that Bergwijn is leaving soon. But I heard that Conte is stalling the deal, but we all don't know about that yet. But it's very certain that, yeah, some of our Deadwood is going to leave from the attacking lineup as well. So we do need a backup attacking lineup that we can play with. And I am absolutely delighted. And I look forward to seeing that deal come through if it can.
Do you
And
feel
if we
like
can get,
Richarlison, I just asked, Philip earlier, like, why is he someone that splits opinions so much? Do you think you have an answer for it? Some people think he's not worth 65 million. Others, think he's, a bit of a hothead, like an Eric Lamela. They don't want Eric Lamela back at the club. Why do you think he's, splitting opinions so much? Because Rafinha doesn't seem to split opinions.
uh, I would say that Richarlison's price tags, yeah, it did surprise me earlier as well. And I think I mentioned here as well that I don't think that he's worth 60 million. But perhaps Everton need money. They are really desperate. They are showing their desperation. And now we really don't know what's the package looking like. I don't think that Richarlison is actually 60 million. I personally think that he's around 40 million. But like I said, I think Conte loves that kind of players who gives all out on the pitch. Like they are not just a nice bunch of guys. Like as Philip was mentioning, that we used to have a history of having some nice guys. Uh, I think that our managers right now, Conte and even Mourinho pointed that out, that we can't be just some nice bunch of guys, and we do need some shithousery in our squad at the moment. So if a player offers you that, I think that, yeah, why not? And I guess your attitude is what you show on the pitch versus off the pitch. Off the pitch, I would
But there's like
need.
a Paul Pogba attitude, right? And then there's like a Richarlison attitude. Does he lie more on? I know maybe someone who's closer to a Richarlison. You have to think about who else. Maybe here's a good example. If you are old enough to know Diego Costa, if you remember Diego Costa back in the days, you could probably say Richarlison might be to a degree slightly similar in sort of the shithousery aspects. Maybe not as much as trying to, slap defenders and things like that. He's actually, flopping on the floor. I would probably say Richarlison, but is he a Diego Costa where like that sort of shithousery helps his game, or is it like Paul Pogba where it maybe detracts from his game or something?
Uh, Actually, Diego Costa as well. I wouldn't like that sort of attitude because Diego Costa himself, he had a lot of issues with his managers and with
Yeah,
his teammates and all that.
not an
So I
easy guy to
wouldn't,
get along with.
yeah,
Yeah.
not an easy guy to get along with. And when that happens, your team affects. So even if you can see that whenever Diego Costa left clubs, in his latter stages, you can see that lack of coordination between him and his teammates on the pitch. And that's something we recently witnessed, is what's happening in Chelsea as well. Nobody
Uh-huh.
likes to play with Lukaku. Nobody likes to pass to Lukaku even. and we see him shouting for the passes. So I wouldn't like to have that sort of. But I don't think personally that Richarlison is that. I would like to see Richarlison as the kind of player Romero is. That on the pitch, yeah, you go on and you show the shithousery for against your team, but off the pitch, you are a great leader, and you're a great role model. I would like to see that sort of aspect in Richarlison, and I guess that's something we don't know really if Richarlison can develop that.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
feel like, when it comes to, this, situation with the center backs, with Gvardiol, he's apparently, originally had no chance of coming to Spurs. Now there's kind of been a bit of, life, breathed into sort of that rumor. And then, we were told, he's supposedly signing a new contract, but that new contract could include a release clause. I don't know, like Gvardiol, is this a possibility? For me, I just don't see this happening. It seems just like originally there was no shot. I know we've been given a bit of a lifeline here, but I still don't think there's really any chance in this. But I don't know, like Gvardiol, are you a fan of this guy? Would you want us to really push for him? How do you feel about this rumor? Because this has sort of come out of nowhere.
If 50 million 50 million in January transfer window, or is it the summer next year?
I think that's what I'm confused about, is that he's, in the process of negotiating a new contract. So we don't know whether, it's going to be 50 million for next year or if it's going to be 50 million this summer.
Well, overall, if you read the news and all that, it gives an impression that he's not happy in the league. To me, it gives an impression that he wants to leave, but the club really needs him. And they're trying to like negotiate that, yeah, you try like this 6 months or one more year, and then like sort of like the Harry Kane situation that he had with us last year. So if he would come to us, I would be delighted.
I think a lot of people are thinking that, the release clause is probably available next season, maybe probably more likely to be purchased. So
yeah,
would you rather maybe Spurs be patient, when it comes to the left-sided center back and wait, for Gvardiol? Sometimes patience can be hard, especially in the transfer market. But would you rather us wait for Gvardiol? Let's say we bring in like a Longley on loan or something like that, get Gvardiol the following season.
Let's go with priorities. I mean, I think we all know our first priority this summer has been Bastoni, but it looks like very likely it's not going to happen. Yeah. Second, Gvardiol. Then we have Pau Torres. I think Pau Torres deal, if I would be very honest, I think that one seems very likely because of the swap with Lo Celso and all that's going on. So that seems very likely. But I think Gvardiol, if let's say Pau Torres comes to our club within this transfer window, I don't see Gvardiol coming next season even, because then we have Ben Davies, and so if you want to get him, I guess get him now rather than waiting for it next season. Yeah, but by the way, before I go off, I would like to talk about that topic of Jesus signed by Arsenal.
Yeah, please, and actually tell me, talk about it, and also tell me which one is a better signing, who's happier, which club is happier.
Richarlison is definitely better. Okay, Jesus, good player with a good attitude, good attributes, good, decent skills. And I think he is someone that, yeah, Arsenal needs at the moment. Yes, I agree with that. That, yeah, they need a striker, but you need to remember that Jesus was the kind of player who used to play as a backup sort of backup, even when City was not playing the real 9. So I think that it's like what Arsenal can get in the kind of circumstances they are in right now. They are getting a player who is just desperate to play out there in the field. I would have been happier if Jesus comes in, because then we wouldn't have had this kind of player who is really fighting or arguing or having attitude problems within the club to just get into the front 11. He would be given some minutes towards the end of the game. So I was kind of delighted that, yeah, if we're getting that sort of striker who wouldn't mind being backup for Kane, because he was doing that already in Man City. But now if he goes to Arsenal, it shows that, yeah, he really wants to play. But I just want to remind the Arsenal fans, you can have Jesus, you can have Gabriel, but none of them can resurrect you from Europa League to Champions League.
None of them's going to be winning the Europa League as well, Elias.
Yep.
Absolute top man.
In fact, we were just discussing all sort of superstitions are actually in Arsenal's club right now. I was just discussing with some of my friends. They have Gabriel, they have Jesus, they also have Muhammad, and they are still. They are still in Europa League.
And final question, my man. Final question. Antonio Conte. I don't know if you follow him on Instagram, but he's just released himself working out. Is this maybe a signal to the rest of the players in the squad? He's now working out before the preseason. Time for the players to get back in shape. No more holidays.
Are you referring to that paddle session that he was doing?
Yeah, the elliptical session. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does give a very good message. And yeah, Conte has stayed fit over many over his
Good
age
for
and all
him.
that. He doesn't look like he's 51 or 52.
I don't
He
even
doesn't
know.
look
Good
like
for him,
one.
my man. I think he's just trying to send a message. Even he's working out. He's not getting
Yeah,
fat over
even
the
he's
summer.
working
He's
out
working
for
out.
that. Yeah, he's working out. Definitely, he's working out, and I'm excited. Now, I mean, how much time do we have left for the preseason tour in Korea? About
I think we have less than 2 weeks now at this stage.
less than 2 weeks now. Yeah, and they are playing like the K League best 11 from the K League in their first game.
Mhm.
That would be an exciting one to watch, and I'm absolutely delighted. And then I think one other thing I just want to say to all the fans that I know we are all getting very impatient about the signings and all that, but I would say that I think next week we might see some more signings coming in, mainly because a lot of clubs, their financial year comes to an end by 30th of June. So if you want to get any free signing, it's very likely that you can get it after 30th of June. So
It may be more possible. Yeah, it's easier probably to negotiate with them. You're probably right, but yeah, it's a good point there you make, Elias. Well, everybody, big up Elias in the comments. Elias, thank you for coming on, my man.
come on,
Appreciate
you
you giving up the
Spurs.
time this evening. Come on, you Spurs, and we'll chat to you. Hopefully this upcoming Friday, Elias. Hopefully we'll see you then,
Sure.
and maybe we'll have some signings to talk about for once.
Let's pray.
Let's pray. Hopefully the Don is cooking. Big up, Elias.
Amen.
Chat to you soon, my man.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Big up Elias. Everyone, show him the love in the chat. Really, really good chat there. Really, really good discussion. We're gonna move on, everybody, to the comedian of the Harris Army. Hopefully, he doesn't maybe grill into me too much, maybe about a certain Harry Winks. Maybe he has other things to talk about. But we do have Chris, everybody's favorite. Chris, how we doing?
Evening, Jack. How you doing? I'm not going to grill you about Winks, but I just want to put an announcement out there for Winks. Right, I want everybody to donate £1 for a megabus fare for Winks to be taken to Liverpool. So everybody just donate that £1. We can get his ticket straight away.
Honestly, maybe just for the gasoline fare, Chris, the petrol fare, just to get him, up to Everton. It would be a long drive from London.
It's just £1 each so you can catch the megabus.
And it's going for a right cause, Chris. It's going for a
it's going for a right cause. Anyway, how are we all doing? Everybody good?
Yeah, we're doing very, very good, Chris.
Fantastic.
You want to take this super chat with me from the bottom, Duda? How about we tag team this one?
Yeah,
he's saying there aren't many ready-made forwards out who can be bought. Lautaro, Osimhen, both are super expensive. Icardi may be indisciplined, and Icardi, I would say, we probably have forgotten about because where has that guy been? Bellotti and a few others who are ready now. Richarlison for 50 million is not much, to be honest. I completely agree with the bottom dude here, Chris, because I think you and I were chatting about this in the back end, right? Where I was saying, like, as much as people don't think Richarlison is worth 50, 60 million, there aren't that many proven strikers out there in the market. And when there's less of something in the market, it's going to be more expensive, Chris. And
yeah, I agree with that.
I maybe he's not worth 60 million, but when there aren't as many to compare with, when there aren't as many other Richarlisons to buy, then he becomes more expensive.
Well, the last I heard, Icardi was in the depths of PSG somewhere.
And he's in the depths of, probably despair because the guy has barely played any football for like 3 years.
Exactly.
It feels like.
Exactly. So Bellotti is a good player, but I highly doubt he's going to come to the Premiership because he's happy in Italy. With Richarlison, I don't think he's worth the 60 million. 40 to 50, we'll probably get away with. But the bottom, he's right. Who else is there, though?
But like Osimhen, like their quotes of Osimhen's price being like close to like 70, 80 million, it's like to prove to bottom dude's point here. I don't even think Osimhen is worth 70 to 80 million, but because there are not many out there to really get, of his sort of quality, he's going to be worth 70 to 80 million in the market because it's also harder for these clubs to replace these strikers as well if they do sell them.
Well, look at the price they're putting on Gordon from Everton as well. Look at if you think about that. Yeah, look at the price that Everton are putting on Gordon's head, right? He's had one season in Everton as a first team player, and look at the price they put on him already. So the prices on all players, whether strikers, defenders, midfielders at the moment, are all inflated.
Yeah,
they're all inflated prices. The prime example, Declan Rice from West Ham, 150 million. He's not worth it, but that's what the price they're asking.
Because they don't think that they can replace him for less than that. I think that's what it is. You know, they want to be able to replace that player if they do sell them, and they will think that, you know what, it might take 60 million to replace Richarlison. It might take,
That's exactly it. They're saying, right, they want at least 60 million for Richarlison, so they're going to need a player to replace him. Then they're going to sell Gordon for another 20 or 30 million.
Do you think maybe we'll get Anthony Gordon and Richarlison for around 60 million, or do you think that will be like a 70, 80 million price tag? Like I would.
I think that would be a 70 or 80, but a fair price would be 60 million for both.
I think that's so. Chris, like, you know, let me know about this. What do you think about, you know, we had a little discussion in the group chat earlier, you know, where I was thinking like Anthony Gordon plus Richarlison, they would be silly not to ask 70 to 80 million. But you actually are saying because of the financial sort of situation Everton are in, they're not in a good negotiating position. Yeah.
Well, they're not in a good negotiating position with us. And plus, they're probably still pissed off us over the Dele Alli sale as well, thinking they got ripped off.
So why not sweeten it with a Harry Winks deal then?
Yeah, I told you, every fan get that £1 donated. Yeah, but seriously, Jack, honestly, with Richarlison and Gordon, 60 million would be fair. 60 to 70 would be a fair price for both of them.
For both of them. What about just Richarlison? Would you say like 40 million maybe better?
35 to 40. 35 to 40.
Okay.
But see, the one thing is, I know there's been a lot of debate where some sort of supporters are happy with Richarlison, some are not. I'm actually quite happy to have him back, at Tottenham, because he's got that Lamella shithousery about him. And that's what we're missing from our team. That player who can put a foot in a tackle and not have no regrets doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think we need that in our team, Chris. Bottom Duda, all I would say to you, my man, is, you know, I completely am in agreement. The only reason these strikers like Lautaro even, the only reason these guys are being valued at such absurd prices is because there are not really many of them out there. And just like anything in the world, if there's not too much of it out there, it's just going to get more and more and more expensive because, you know, there's not really much to replace it. So I kind of
exactly
agree with you. And it's kind of sad to Bottom Duda because we do need to beef up that forward line, and we do need to get backup strikers and, you know, second strikers for this team. And it maybe not the best market to do it right now, but I don't know. Tough luck. You know, we haven't had a backup striker for years, Chris. So like, you know, tough luck that all of a sudden it's expensive. We should have done it 3 years ago. See,
Jack, the golden era of having a backup striker is well and truly gone. Because years ago, you could have probably bought a backup striker for 20 to 30 million.
And a good
one. Nowadays, you might buy a championship striker for 20 or 30 million.
Yeah.
Whereas as a decent striker from a well-known club such as a Juventus, an Inter Milan, a PSG, Ajax, whoever, it's going to cost you 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 million. That's for one who might not play every single game striker.
Yeah. It's, you know, and that's what Spurs are going to have to realize. They're going to have to pay up for their mistakes, Chris. But to Bottom Duda, really appreciate support, my man. And I'm in complete agreement with you. Complete agreement.
100% spot on with him.
Moondog says he's worth 65 to Everton, and that's what matters. And, you know, this is what we're kind of saying, you know, Chris, is there's a difference between what we think, you know, the player is worth, what we think the deal is worth, and then what the club, you know, thinks they're worth. And I guess all the time it's about finding that happy medium between what the club thinks that player is worth and what we think they're worth. You know, to be
exactly. That's exactly it. But they've only got till Thursday to decide whether they accept our offers or not. But before the financial fair play kicks them in the arse.
They can't take their time here. Yeah.
So they need to either make that decision or take a final points deduction next season, because that's what would happen if they're found guilty of breaching the fair play.
Yeah. And so, you know, but this is the same negotiating position we had with Kane, though, right? Like that Moondog was talking about, because with us, when it came to Kane, it's like, sorry, Man City is worth 150 million to us, whether you think that's too much or not. Like, it's worth 150 million to us.
The difference is we have fraud sports trying to get that signing over the line for Man City.
They had all that help, and they still couldn't do
Yeah,
it.
they had all the help from Ford Sports.
Big up though, Moondog. Really appreciate support. And it's
But I do get where Moondog's coming from on that, though. I do understand that.
Yeah, I see where I think he's right. And at the end of the day, it's what Everton want. You know, as much as what we want, you know, it can be pushed. You know, it's what Everton wants. Is what's going to be finalized. Bjorn Wandel, good to see you, my man. Just want to welcome you into the building. Hopefully, you're keeping all right, my man. Good to see you, brother. But Chris, now we can talk about what you want to talk about. I know at the bottom, dude, as was a great, kind of, conversation, to start off with. But, is there anything that you wanted to come in with right away that, we haven't discussed?
See, we could say Paratici can offer the 60, 70 million to Everton for Gordon and Richarlison, but there's no guarantee that Everton will accept it, and whether it probably would be in the best interest for Everton to accept it. Right? Because at the moment, from what I'm seeing in Newcastle are now putting in a bid in for Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well. So they're having to sell all their best players.
Yeah.
So all we got to do really, as Paratici's got to do, is put the ball in Everton's court. Say, this is our offer, accept it or not.
But do you think, like, when it comes to a certain stage, let's say it comes Tuesday, Wednesday night, is that how you see maybe Spurs going about it, where they might make Everton a bit desperate?
Yeah, because you know what, Paratici leave it like they're right. Okay, they're desperate for money. Let's go in for a low offer on last minute. Let's see if they accept it or reject it.
Mm.
And knowing Paratici, he'll pull something out of the bag where Winks will be involved.
Mm. Chris, what do you make of the fact that, with Jesus now signed for Arsenal, is the Richarlison signing, is this, a better signing in your eyes? Like, I kind of put up, an image the other night, this sort of image right here. Let me just pull down the banner, here. Who's happier at the end of the day, Chris? Who's happier between these two clubs?
Us, because they're paying 280 grand a week for somebody who was sitting on a bench.
Wait a minute, they're paying 280 grand. I didn't even know this.
I think I was reading like 280,000 a week that he was offered.
Jesus, Chris, that's extortionate. I actually, I can't even believe I'm saying this, Chris. I actually feel bad for this scum. That's actually quite.
I don't, because they're paying for a striker who was never first choice at Man City. Now
doesn't even want to play striker for his national team, Chris.
So it's more for them. We would be getting a better deal with Richarlison.
Yeah, and so you think we're the happier ones?
And the reports today saying that Richarlison told close friends of his that he wants to join Tottenham. He wants to leave Everton and join. So if that is the case, he can go. He can actually go put that transfer request and say, "You need the money. I want to go. Let me go."
Is his agent Emerson, maybe behind this sort of Richarlison signing, or do you think Richarlison, once he saw that Spurs wanted him, because Paratici really wants him, to be fair as well. Like Paratici apparently is a huge fan.
Well, apparently I was seeing somebody in the chat earlier saying agent Emerson's being linked with a move to Atletico Madrid.
But maybe that's, is this last final mark, Chris. He helps us sign Richarlison on his way out. It's all part of the Emerson story.
Who knows? Do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me. The Brazilian brothers, probably Lucas has probably been on his phone as well. So you know what? Yeah, come over. We'll have a Brazilian samba party. Do you know what I mean?
I hate to, because like Chris, I don't know if you saw the Instagram photo, but it was Emerson, Richarlison. I think he's like Emerson's like friend or something, like as well, or like maybe his agent or whatever. And they were doing the like in the Instagram photo and everything. Like I have a feeling Emerson, he probably was maybe doing some things in maybe Levy paid him a small fee just to help out with the Richarlison.
Yeah, Paratici gave him an extra bonus.
Agent Emerson, like I just feel like Agent Emerson's at work here.
Yeah, definitely. But I think we still would get a better deal with Richarlison.
Yeah,
Arsenal fans are all happy that they got Jesus, but we got one better player than them already, and that was Basuma for 25 million. Bargain.
Mm. And final question, maybe Chris, just to end off with you, my man. What do you make of like Antonio Conte? He's been caught, working out. He's doing the elliptical. Do you feel like Antonio Conte, with the players he's bringing in, he wants these guys to be fit. He wants them to be strong. He wants them to be big. It feels like Spurs were going to be like a meaner looking sort of Spurs, next season.
Do you know what, Jack? All I say is I feel sorry for the ones who used to play cricket and basketball on the training pitch. I feel sorry for them players because they ain't getting away with that no more. Because I've seen the reports that Emerson was saying that the workout they have to do with Conte is an absolute torture.
It's probably no more cricket, Chris. In fact, if they want like a leisure activity, it's probably boxing or something is what he maybe allows them to, in their leisure time.
But he's apparently he puts them to work, and Perisic has even come out and go, when I worked with him at Inter, the preseason was tough.
Yeah.
He goes, he was one of the toughest.
Is it, what do you think? We remember Pochettino preseasons, Conte preseasons. I guess we'll find out. If you were to make a guess, Chris, which one's tougher? Do you think the Conte preseasons are tougher?
These players cried over Pochettino's workouts over the summer. I feel sorry for them, the ones that think they got it hard with Poch.
They don't know what they're in for.
I think they don't know what they're in for with Conte, because Conte ain't going to let them get away with what they got away with Jose and that.
And they got away with no preseason last time, Chris. They didn't get a preseason last time with Conte, so maybe they don't know. Maybe Ben Davies and Eric Dyer, while they're on top of the moon, they were like realizing, oh crap, maybe this is actually going to be pretty tough.
Ben Davies thought, Nuno was not training as hard enough, so now they asked for Conte, and now they got him, and now they're thinking, oh shit, what have we done? Now they're having to actually work for their wages.
Exactly, Chris.
They're having to earn their 150 grand a week, 90 grand a week
for once. Now they have to earn their flight home, Chris. Now they have to earn their flight home for once. Finally.
Yeah, because you think Conte's letting them on the bus if they play shit? I don't think so.
Nope, I don't think so either, Chris. I don't even think Stellini's letting them back on the bus, if you ask me.
No.
But Chris, absolute pleasure, my man. Real good speaking to you. Thank you for coming on tonight, giving up your evening.
No problem,
you, brother.
Every smash a like, get your super chats in, and don't donate £1 for the mega bus for Harry Winks.
Get the petrol fund going. Fund going. Big up, Chris. Everyone, show Chris the love in the chat, everybody. Show Chris the love. The other godfather, you would say, the comedian of the Harris Army. But we're going to keep plowing on, everybody. Do get your super chats in, though, if you do want to ask, the guests or the members any questions that you feel like need to be discussed. If there is something on your mind, feel free to throw it in as a super chat. It is also a great way to support the channel as well while we're going through the summer, while we're kind of pumping out the content practically daily now, everybody. So if you do want to get, a bit of support in for the channel, as well as, maybe interrupt the show and, ask, whatever guest or me, a question, feel free to throw it in as a super chat. But we're going to move on to our man out in Freiburg. We have Rufus. How we doing, Rufus?
How you doing, mate?
I'm doing okay. Had a good conversation, with Chris and Philip. I'll be honest, you don't have a choice over the first question. From there, you can pick where we go.
Okay,
but we have to talk about the big news today, my man, is Spurs want Anthony Gordon plus Richarlison in a big deal together. I don't know. I mean, you can start off with Anthony Gordon or Richarlison. Does this sound like a nice package together? What are your thoughts on this? This is an interesting deal.
I really can't imagine them selling both to agree with everybody else.
They're two best players. Everton's two best players, essentially.
Why would you sell your two best players? I mean, I'd happily send Winks and another player on top. Maybe that works for them,
What have you made of the fact that we might buy their two best players and then we're going to send them Dele Alli and Harry Winks in return?
Look, they bought Ali. They'd buy anything. If you bought Ali from us, you'd buy anything. It's like
you'll buy anything in front of you.
Bit of ice for the Sahara, mate.
Just when they bought, they didn't even need a Dele Alli as well. They didn't even need a Dele Alli, and they bought a Dele Alli. They bought Van de Beek that same season, and they decided to get Dele Alli.
I would be completely made up if they take a couple of players from us and give us their best too. Really, honestly. I mean, Richarlison, he brings that shithousery. I mean, I wrote it down here earlier when I was listening to the chat. Like as a second spine, you would have Romero, Bentancur, and Richarlison as your second spine to the team.
What have you made of the fact that, where Philip brought up, we're going to be in so many competitions next year, Rufus. And if you ask me, like, I want trophies, and we want probably a really strong finish in the league and then probably a domestic trophy at least, as the bare minimum, maybe tossed in there. That means, we're going to need very good rotation. And so I don't know, like, 5 attackers. I think we need 6 attackers, Rufus, because we ran that 3-4-3. So I feel like you're going to need 3 attackers for the starting, and then you're going to need 3 attackers to be able to replace them if needed.
I mean, we're all worried about transfers. And the first thing I have to say is the financial year is massive, and that's ending in a few days. And then I think we're going to get a lot of things opening up. And it's like Elias said, you know, Parrott, why not? What Parrott could, I mean, in the pre-season in Korea, we could see Parrott come through as another option, you know, with Richarlison. I mean, a real push, you could go for a Parrott, Richarlison, Perisic at the front.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would
a real
love to see
push
that.
in a cup game, you know.
What are you thinking, you know, the fact that...
You've got heaps of quality there. I mean, it's not like you're saying,
what do you make of the fact that people are upset about the price of Richarlison? You know, and to Bottom Duda brought up earlier, Rufus, that strikers these days, since there aren't too many of them, they're worth, you know, that much more. Like, they're more expensive these days, strikers.
Yeah, I mean, I read somewhere that Rafinha is sort of like holding out for a deal to go to Spain.
Yeah. He's taking his time with that.
But they're skint, so I don't know how that's going to work out. So I could actually see us getting Rafinha at the end of the transfer window for a bit of a bargain. If he doesn't have anywhere to go, you know?
Big up Golden Cockerel. Big up, my man. What do you make of the fact that, you know, when it comes to Richarlison, he's such a split sort of, you know, player in the fan base? You know, some people love him. Some people seem to hate him, though, Rufus.
But it's what everybody says, isn't it? It's a shithousery. You know, like if he plays against you, you hate him. You know, like he's dirty.
He's the Lamella. He's a Lamella.
You know, like, but if he's playing for you, you'd be cheering it on, you know.
You think he's, you know, like now that we have, you know, Romero and Richarlison in the same team, you know, 2, you know, guys that most, you know, teams sort of hate, you know, very, very, you know, dangerous players, you could even say, you know,
yeah, well,
how does it feel to have those 2 guys on the same pitch?
How do you say his name? Gvardiol? Is it
Gvardiol?
Gvardiol?
Richarlison? Or who are you
Gvardiol from
Gvardiol, yeah, that from Leipzig, yeah.
From Leipzig. Hey, can you imagine having all them 3 in the team?
What do you make of the fact that, you know, Gvardiol, I don't think we're getting him this summer by the looks of it, you know, but would you want to hold out, Rufus? You know, are you a guy that likes to be patient? You know, maybe hold out, you know, for your favorite signing, you know, 1 more season, you know, maybe just get someone in on loan? Or would you rather just Spurs sign the next best thing permanently?
It's difficult, isn't it?
It's
you always
tough.
say the next best thing, but is the next best thing or the
Is
best
it worth
you
it?
can get? Because it's not FIFA, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
It's like we said the other night in the private chat after the fan show. It's not FIFA, you know, there's so many factors. Family, is the family happy? Are they settled? The money. Some people say, oh, you missed that player. And it's like, well, we didn't really miss them. They didn't really like us as an option sometimes. And I think that's a big thing everybody really misses. But like, I'd love to see Richarlison because I think more than Rafinha, like everybody said the last couple of weeks, he offers a bit more. He offers a bit more cover and stuff like that. And I can't see us getting both. And like I said, Rafinha seems to be holding out for Barca.
But he's also, though, like supposedly maybe headed to the Gooners. Would you be worried if he headed to the Gooners? Like, is he a player that you really rate? Would you be kind of upset if he went over there?
I mean, that's a bigger signing for them than Jesus.
That's probably true, actually. You're right. They're making Jesus the big signing.
A bench warmer. Man City had no striker, and he was a bench warmer. He
couldn't make it into the team with no striker. Yeah.
They had no striker. He was a bench warmer, and Arsenal have bought him as a striker. It's like comical.
280 grand a week as well, Rufus. Yeah. Apparently, they got him on 280 grand a week.
Party night, party night. Idiots.
So
They're
by
acting
that logic,
like
it sounds like you're thinking that they're not going to sign
I'm sorry,
Rafinha.
but they're acting like we did a few years ago. You know, like sometimes. I really hope this is their end fat bastard signing.
I hope so too. I hope so too. By the looks of it, though, it seems like you think if Jesus is their £45 million signing, you don't think then they're going to spend money on Rafinha on top of that.
They haven't got the money.
Interesting, because they did already spend the most in Europe last season.
I don't think they really got the money, and from what I've read, he's holding out for Barcelona. So really, whether it's Spurs or Arsenal or whoever, I think we have to sit back and wait for what's going to happen in the Spanish league, and I don't think he's going to get any luck there. And then whoever signs him will sign him on the bounce from being rejected from. Well, not rejected, but not finding a contract in the La Liga.
Yeah, definitely. To be honest, though, when it comes to Barcelona, though, they just don't have money, Rufus, and they're not really that club, anymore that can try to find money underneath the couch cushions because they owe money to club, owe money to banks. They have no money left. So if they don't have the Rafinha money available, I'd be scared to see where they would find it because I don't think they have it available. But they are rumored to be, perhaps considering selling Frankie de Jong. Maybe they sell Frankie de Jong to fund a Rafinha signing. But then what the other crazy thing about Barca is they don't need Rafinha. I feel like they don't even need Rafinha.
I don't think they need him, and it's the wages too. Like the wages will be astronomical.
Yeah, I bet as well. But that is like you said, it is the club that he does really want to go to.
So he really wants to play for Barcelona. If he went to play for Barcelona, I wish him all the best. If he doesn't get to play for Barcelona and he goes to Arsenal,
can I ask you, about some of the fringe players in the squad, Rufus? Because, Brian Hill, apparently he's gained 2 kilos since he's been in the Premier League. And to be honest, he needed those 2 kilos and probably an extra 2 kilos on top of that. But do you feel like, him, Brian Hill, Papa Matasar, Troy Parrott, could they change the mind of maybe Antonio Conte this preseason? Perhaps they could get into the squad, maybe prove him wrong.
They have every chance. They're all going to Korea. They're going into pre-season with Conte. If they want to show him something, they've got to live through the pre-season with Conte. And if they live through the pre-season with Conte and they show him that they can play good football, then anything's possible. I actually think Parrott is a really... I actually think, like a lot of people, maybe one more season on loan is best. But I could actually see him having a breakthrough season this year.
Who knows? Maybe Conte gets, convinced. And, I think, even Philip was saying, he was having some workout videos or something like that had been released. So I think a lot of players, Rufus, are bulking up, for Conte. They're trying to get, kind of ripped, this summer to try to, impress Conte by the looks of it. He wants strong physical players.
But isn't that fantastic that we're seeing so many of our players actually posting on Twitter and whatever.
No fashion brands, just working out and, just
they're
trying
all
to get
saying,
ready for the season.
I'm here, Conte.
Yeah.
But even before pre-seasons started, they're all saying, look, I had a little holiday, but I'm ready.
Even Conte's been working out, as well, Rufus. Just the other day, if you follow him on Instagram, he's showing himself on the elliptical, going really hard. And he's, even probably trying to, probably he posts that just to prove to the players that he's working out even this season.
Yeah, but that's also what I liked about Poch in the old times, I know Poch is never kind of come back, and I'm not going to be like one of those, this or that fans. But, back in that day, he used to impress the players by his ability on the ball. He'd just kick a ball the whole pitch length and it'd land on somebody's bollocks. That earns you respect. And Conte is us, or I nearly switched into German. But Conte is also earning the respect of the players. He said, I expect this from you, but I'll do it myself.
I think he has.
I'm an old man, and I'll do it.
I think he's earned respect, via fear. I'll be honest, probably, Rufus. I think they fear him so much. That's how they, sort of respect him. But Rufus,
I definitely think everybody's heard the dreaded pre-season by Conte.
Yeah, I think they're not enjoying it. Even a day or two into it, by the looks of it, they're not enjoying it. Apparently, Emerson said he wasn't prepared for it. So we'll see how he does, Rufus. We'll see how he does. But Rufus, thank you so much for coming on, my man. I hope you have, a good rest of your evening. And yeah, my man, enjoy your night. Come on, you Spurs. Thank you for coming on, brother.
Like I said, Jack, you and Dave have always got a standing ticket in Freiburg from the Ultras downstairs. If you're ever in the region, if you ever want to come to Freiburg and watch a game, you're always invited. You just have to stand with the Nutters.
Vielen Dank, mein Freund. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Alrighty. Catch you soon, Rufus. Tschüssi.
Okay, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye. Everybody, big up Rufus in the chat. Everybody, he clearly stayed up for us. He's getting pumped for this one. He's getting ready for it, and he absolutely smashed it as well. Bringing the energy as well this Monday night, and especially on a Monday night, you must say. Everybody, big up Rufus. Really making the most of it as well. And we're going to move on, and we're going to bring on somebody who actually features a lot over on my second channel, everybody, flatcapeurotalk, which I'm sure you're familiar with by now. But if you have seen some of the recent sort of kind of discussion panels I've had, this guy's been a main feature, It's Kieron from Let's Talk Spurs. Kieron.
Jack, how are you?
It's good. It's good to see you on this channel for once in a long time. I've seen you a lot recently, but not over here.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've seen the link come up like before the video was showing on YouTube. I was like, this must be an old one. Then I seen it went live, and I was like, oh no, yeah, I joined.
No, there you go. Making the long-waited return. Kieron, and I feel like you're one of those guys. I don't know if I need to tell you where to start, but what's on your mind? What's feel like you want to start with? What do you want to discuss? Anthony Gordon plus Richarlison is obviously on people's minds, but where do you want to start?
Actually, first I heard something being said before that I'll correct, which unfortunately isn't about us. It's about Gabriel Jesus.
What do you make of the Jesus, situation? 280 grand a week, 45 million pounds.
This is what I was about to say. It's 200,000 pounds a week, so it's not 280. It's 200 because it's joint of their wage bill. But the thing that I wanted to highlight that for is because for reference, that's reportedly the same as Harry Kane. So they're paying Jesus Harry Kane's wage, which is still, I think, comical. But yeah, I think for them, he's a good signing. But I don't think he's necessarily as good a signing for us. I think it's two completely different styles of team and the way they play. I think Richarlison fits us a lot better than Jesus would.
Yeah. Do you feel like Jesus, though, they bought him as a striker, though? And, apparently he's had some quotes that have surfaced, about him rejecting sort of the possibility to be a striker for Brazil. I know, this isn't about the Gooners, but let's say Spurs signed him. Would we be in a similar situation where we signed a guy that actually doesn't really want to play striker?
I think the quote that you saw was from when he was on duty at Brazil, wasn't it? And he's saying he doesn't feel comfortable playing up front for Brazil. He prefers to play out wide.
He was asked what his preferred position was.
Yeah. And I suppose that's kind of where he's somewhat played a little bit for Man City at times this season, where he's actually gone out wide rather than playing dead through the middle, kind of like a full striker, really. Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to Jesus, though, like a lot of Spurs fans did want him. And, originally, I must say, Richarlison was the one that, sort of, for me at least, just was a lot better option for Spurs. But do you feel like maybe Jesus was the one that they wanted because he's so versatile? Like, why is it that maybe Jesus was considered a better option? Because for me, it feels like Richarlison sort of fits the same bill. Like, he's also very versatile. He also can play across the front three, and he's, very comfortable with striker. Whereas with Jesus, I don't know. It's like, can you really say he's actually comfortable like in all three of those positions? Like, you can sort of say it, I guess.
To be honest, I think the only reason they would have gone for Jesus over the likes of Richarlison is because Arteta has that relationship from City. So I think they've probably gone, well, he's potentially out on the door out. Arteta's probably said something about having a good relationship, sign him up, and that's probably how he's become their first choice target. I'd say, because they've got that over the deal really, and that's their first big signing. So yeah, I'd say that's probably what happened. But like I said, I think for them he works better, but for us and what Conte wants, Conte likes physical players that are workhorses, a bit that dog attitude. That they will just keep going even if the chips are against you. You're just going to keep working and hammering at it until it comes your way. Like it's funny because I've seen a lot of people kind of going, "Oh, Richarlison, he's only got 15 goal involvements," but that's across, I think it was like 30 games this season, and not all of those are starting minutes. So it's a goal involvement every second game for a relegation threatened side that didn't have Dominic Calvert-Lewin for half a season.
Yeah. And what did you make of the fact that I've said this before, that even comparing the stats, as much as I love comparing stats, so if I'm not even willing to compare the stats, that's probably a worrying sign, because I feel like with Jesus, his stats are so inflated by playing for a Gvardiol team where you have the most chances out of any forward in Europe. Whereas with Richarlison, he's playing for Rafa Benitez and Frank Lampard and Everton, where it's like just two polar opposite sort of teams. It's almost impossible to even compare their sort of stats, if you ask me, because they're just in two entirely different environments.
Yeah, I mean, one's playing in a team that creates most chances in the league, and one's in a team that's creating the 16th most in the league. So
close to the last, close to the least. Yeah.
And the thing is as well, like I said, he's still got 5 assists this season when you've not got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, with him as well. You think if you have Dominic Calvert-Lewin for that half a season that he was out injured, you potentially add in, more goals or more assists to that because he can play off that. But pretty much he was their main man. And I suppose that reflects with the stats. He was actually involved in 35% of their goals, like their total goals in the Premier League last season, which, for reference, Harry Kane contributed 38 of ours, like 38% of ours. So you kind of think about how important Harry Kane is contributing goals for us. Richarlison is kind of replicating similar numbers of their total for Everton, which I suppose is why a lot of Everton fans feel that the fee they're asking for is justified, whereas we probably don't. So, yeah. But the big thing actually as well is a lot of people have been saying that Winks could be included in the deal. But actually, I don't think that makes sense, because the thing is they've got to make money. Whereas if you include Harry Winks in the deal, yes, it means they're not spending money, but they're also not making as much. Whereas what I think will actually probably happen is some sort of deal in preparation with Winks, where we maybe sign Richarlison, or maybe Richarlison and Anthony Gordon. I don't think we'll be able to get both of them. I think there'll be riots with their fans if that happens.
That's what seems crazy, is to give up their two best players and then in return get Harry Winks and Richarlison, or to get Harry Winks and Dele Alli in return for their two best players, and both Spurs players in return. Like, not even from a different clubs. Like, just really doesn't. I don't know. Like, to be fair though, like Everton have mismanaged themselves so much that it's not beyond the realm of possibility that they actually do make that shocking of a move. Yeah,
because obviously there is the thing as well. Like, a lot of people do say that because it's like, yeah, but they've got 10% clause to Watford if it goes over 40 million. If it goes 50 million, they're still making an extra 5 million than if they sell them for 40 and include Winks in the deal. So still making extra money. They just so happen to have to pay Watford a little bit. But I think what will probably happen is a deal in place for Winks. We buy the players from Everton, and as soon as that financial fair play deadline is hit, where they've made their money, it will be a fresh slate, and then they'll buy Winks, because Moise Kean, who is at Juventus, at the end of this season coming, there's actually an obligation for them to buy him for £24 million. So the thing is that then they'll probably be able to buy Winks and still make profit from the Moise Kean sale.
Jeez.
So I reckon that will probably be what happens.
Do you know if this is true, this situation about them needing money by Thursday?
Well, I suppose it's because they're in, obviously, by financial fair play rules, they have to be within a certain limit, don't they?
But I guess maybe what I mean by that, does that put them in a sort of a bad position where they don't really have a lot of negotiating power when it comes to the Anthony Gordon plus Richarlison deal? Perhaps they don't really have much negotiating power since they need money by Thursday.
See, I think it really depends, because it depends who's interested. Because Chelsea are reportedly interested in Richarlison, so I think it then becomes a thing where they play the two clubs off each other. That one's willing to offer the money up or something, and then you try and play those two clubs potentially off each other for the money, or they're just trying to hold out for as much as possible. Because if we came in and said, well, we're only paying 40 million for Richarlison, and they accepted it, well, then there's still a potential they need to make more money, and then it's a case of, okay, now we might have to let Anthony Gordon go, where I think at the moment it's, let's try and hold out last minute and see how much money we can kind of get for this over the line. Yeah, like you said, I think they definitely do have less negotiating power because they are in a situation and clubs know that they're in this situation. But it's also a position where clubs could where Everton realistically could kind of go, look, we're willing to kind of sell up to this point, and then after that we'll see what sanctions we get against us before we decide if we're selling or not.
I want you to calm my fears here, because I do have this question here. Would it worry you if the Gooners got Rafinha? Fabrizio Romano tweeted last night that, Arsenal have set up a meeting to discuss, getting a deal done. If he were to go to the Gooners, if you ask me, that would really worry me. That would be a really great signing, by them. Whereas the Jesus signing doesn't really intimidate me very much. I feel like the Rafinha signing would intimidate me a bit.
Yeah, to be honest, it's a bit of a combination of all the other things that they're doing as well. On top of Rafinha, like Lisandro Martinez potentially coming in as well.
Smart signing.
I think that us getting Champions League has kind of forced them to put the money up on the table, because it's like, okay, well,
we're acting more desperately.
Yeah, it is a thing of like, let's put it on the table. Let's not let other people compete with us. Let's try and get these deals over the line.
I hope that's not the case, because originally we kind of thought they were sleeping at the wheel, a little bit when it comes to, their situation. If they are realizing that, perhaps, they are slipping their grip, or they're loosening their grip on getting back into top four, that would mean they would need to invest heavily again. But Kieron, they did invest the most in Europe, last season. Could they do that again? Like, could they pull off something similar where they invest like close to 150 million again? It seems kind of crazy.
I think they could, but purely because when you think, we're sitting here going, well, they spent the most, but it's also like not that many other clubs actually spent that much. City pretty much made one
get that
signing.
much in. Yeah.
So yeah, they could be the top highest earners, but it's also because the likes of City and Liverpool aren't, actually doing, actually bringing many players in because their team's already built. For Arsenal, it's a case of, well, they've lost out to top four to us again, so let's spend this money this season, so hopefully they can get Champions League, and then they've kind of got that money, whereas I suppose at the moment it's like, we're still not there, but we're so close. Let's just splash this season to give ourselves that final push over the line. Especially, I think people are underestimating how tough a season this is going to be with potential injuries, because not only have you got the likes of the Premier League, where fixtures are more condensed because of the World Cup, you've still got then the Champions League, you've still got FA Cup, Carabao Cup, you have an international break before the World Cup. The World Cup itself season. It's like you have so much going on. We have 9 games, just Champions League and Premier League in October, and that's 9 games. And that's not including I don't think we will get FA Cup or Carabao Cup games in.
But that's just
October.
Like a typical month. Like that's just a typical month, essentially. Like that's something we'll get used to. And so I think you're leading on to, or if you haven't already, like, you pointed this out to me and I didn't think about this. Spurs actually do need 6 forwards. I feel like they at least 6 forwards. Like, if maybe the question I should ask you, you don't think Spurs could get away basically with 5 forwards next season?
Well, this is, obviously we spoke about this off air before, and I was saying to you, I didn't really understand the debate where people were going, well, Richarlison or Rafinha, which one? Well, Richarlison, because he can play across the front three, and then we have, Perisic. And I was saying, but it doesn't make sense because we're losing Bergwijn, and we already needed a striker. So why are we bringing in one player to to fill in two positions when next
We
season
still
there's
need
going
to
to be
fill
5
in the
subs,
striker
there's going to be so
position
many more
and Bergwijn.
games. I think we do need to have backup.
If we sell Bergwijn, we need to replace Bergwijn at the end of the day.
I do think so. I think that's potentially why we're looking at Gordon as well, where it's kind of one of those deals that maybe you can pay a little bit less because of their situation, and then you can use that money to fill the other positions that we still need to fill. But I do think we need to sign in both positions, because you can't have Kane pretty much playing all of those every single game next season, and then obviously with the World Cup as well. And if you say, okay, well, look, we're bringing Richarlison, okay, well then, we still don't have that many players to rotate. We have Mora and Kulusevski, Kane, maybe Richarlison, and Son, and then people are saying Perisic, who is going to be either our first or second choice left wing back, which then you're leaving yourself thin, especially with Sessegnon's kind of injury record over the past 2 years. If Reguilon goes and something happens to Sess, then you've only got Perisic and you've got no backup for Son, and Son's being forced to play every game at that point then. So,
how much do you think Gordon would go for if we were to get Richarlison and Gordon? And how much do you think Gordon would go for? Because I actually thought that he would be around the 30 million to 40 million pound mark for them, because he's homegrown, he's from their own academy, and he's one of their best players. But people have pointed out to me, as they rightly should, Everton aren't in a great negotiating position when it comes to these sort of players. So what do you think? Like, if there's some sort of substance behind this deal, what would you think would be like the total price? Like, how much are we paying for Richarlison? How much are we paying for Anthony Gordon? If you were to, find a price, because for me, it's like 80 million is what I anticipate us probably spending.
Yeah, to be honest, I feel like, unfortunately, that's probably what is going to be the going rate, because
it'd be crazy to get Anthony Gordon for like 20 million. That would seem insane.
Yeah, I think 25 million would be the absolute minimum. And that point, we're kind of, their fan base would riot. That price.
And they already hate their owners anyway. Yeah. They already hate their owners. So.
But like you said, Gordon is a fan favorite at Everton. So the thing is, they're going to charge more, especially with him being homegrown as well, with him still being young. That's a player they're not going to let go unless they kind of get a fee that they can justify, to a degree, to the fan base, where the fan base looks at it and goes, I suppose for that money, you kind of got to accept it, don't you? And we see that with clubs before, where players go and it's not necessarily a massive fee, but because they're clubs that are lower down the table, they kind of go, well, I suppose for that money, you got to accept it, can't you? Can't refuse that. Yeah. And I think that's probably what they'll try and pull us to. I think they'll maybe let Richarlison go, because they'll still look at other options and feel like maybe they have players that can step in. Obviously, if Anthony Gordon, if they're playing three across the front, and they've got Anthony Gordon, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and then Damari Gray on the right, they probably still feel like, okay, well, we can let go of Richarlison. I don't feel they'll let go of Richarlison and Gordon unless we are paying a big fee, like at 80 million. Which, it's weird, because these years, you kind of sit here and go, like, the club doesn't spend money. And it's like 80 million. I'm sitting here going, 80 million, I don't know, like, it's kind of going back on your own words, like, come on, spend some money. Like, we never spend any money on players in the window. We always go for the cheap option. This time we actually go to spend money on players, and it's like, no, you're spending too much.
It feels like I'll to be honest, I've been very guilty of that, where, I found myself, at some stages, being like, Spurs, we have to save money. We have to save money. We don't have a lot of money available, to us. And now all of a sudden we have, and I wouldn't say blank checks, but we have, a lot more money to work with and a lot more spending power available to us. And I'm still acting the same way. when it comes to it, thinking, oh, we need to save money here. We could save money here. We could save money here. And to be fair, it is just, probably a bit, unhelpful to a lot of people because we should just spend money. And if we end up overspending on somebody, that ends up, helping us and ends up, getting us to a trophy, getting us, further down the line with Antonio Conte, who really cares what the price is. But I must be honest, I'm pretty guilty of that, to be fair. Kieron, really good talking with you, my man. You're always on Flat Cap Euro Talk. Tell us about Let's Talk Spurs. I think you and I have sort of negotiated maybe a time, where you and I will be together on your channel. Tell us about your channel or your Twitter as well. I'm going to plug your Twitter as well.
Just first, I love the way you've called it a negotiation as if it's a transfer.
Well, because I betrayed you last time, so it is going to be a negotiation of some sort, by the looks of it.
Before I plug the channel, then what I will say is actually people bringing up Kulusevski earlier and Emerson quotes. I wanted to say one thing that apparently in that same interview that Kulusevski was in, that he's wearing the Argentina shirt, on Antonio Conte, he said he's really a winner. He said, when you meet someone, you just know they're a winner. He said you have to listen to him because he's going to make you win things. And apparently that's kind of what he said about Antonio Conte in the interview, which I thought you'd appreciate that, so I thought I'd bring that up.
We definitely would. I'm looking forward to what David has to say. We're desperate to have David back because I know he's got some fresh thoughts on it. But it looks like we just got, a bit of a blackout from Kieron there. But Kieron, pleasure to have you on, my man. Looking forward to, having you back on Flat Cap hopefully this week. And that transfer stream Thursday sounds like an absolute ball, because I think what we're going to be talking about essentially is what Spurs more or less have left to do. And if Spurs don't get any transfers done by Thursday, we'll have a lot left to do. I'll tell you that.
Just essentially what do we need to do in the window? What positions, what potential players that we're linked to, do we feel they're necessary that we need to bring them in, or do we feel that there's kind of access to what we need? But yeah, loved having you on. I know that Ellie's waiting in the back. She's been waiting a while, so
yeah, she definitely is. Appreciate you, Kieron. Appreciate you, my man. And everybody, check out Let's Talk Spurs. The link is in the chat as well. Check out his Twitter page. Put out a really good concept kits as well, I think, recently as well. So good things to check out from Let's Talk Spurs. Kieron, thank you for coming on, brother.
Take care, Jack. Come on, you Spurs.
Gotcha. Come on, you Spurs. Well, everybody, there was Kieron. Everybody, big him up in the comments. Smash those links as well to show him the support that he deserves. But we are going to keep moving on, everybody, and we are going to push on to the queen of the Harris Army. It is Queen Ellie. How we doing,
Hello,
Ellie?
Jack. How you doing?
Good
to see you.
Had a
good day today?
Good. It's going well so far, Ellie. Having good conversations, kind of getting through them as well. And, we're going to have David back tomorrow, to take the burden off. So, things are going well. Things are going well.
Nice one. I miss David as well, but, he's got to have a rest sometime. He does. He deserves to have a rest with his dad and spend more time with him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Ellie, the big news today is Anthony Gordon plus Richarlison. Give us, your thoughts on that situation.
Yeah, not bad one. Anthony Gordon, he reminds me a bit like Tony Galvin in a way, an out-and-out winger who takes on his man. I heard a fan on Free Spurs Boys earlier. He came on, he was an Everton fan. He wasn't too bigging him up. He was saying that he can be in and out. But that's like a lot of players, Jack. It's up to Conte to make him into a player that's worth his salt, and really work on his skill, work on him beating the man and making a better pass. Because I think his pass rate is 76.4. If the last time I checked it is passing accuracy. So we've got to improve on that. But we've got a gem, I think, in him. Because I like players that can take on a player and beat a player.
Yeah, he's very determined with that. He seems relentless, actually, in that regard.
Yeah, he's got skills, the boy. And he's only 20, so he's got time to develop as well. We need players who are going to take on the last man, and really push and get that good crossing. And he's got a wicked cross on him. I watched two England matches that he played in, and he was fabulous. And he was really good at White Hart Lane. I was impressed with him. It's one for the future, but I think he won't get a first start. But he's not getting into the first 11 in Everton either. So, I'm thinking he'd be a good buy because he can be coming off the bench and giving us something different, Jack.
Do you feel like, with him being a homegrown player for Everton as well as from their academy, it seems kind of crazy, Ellie, that we could be, prizing a guy like that? Basically we're taking Everton's 2 best players. Sounds kind of crazy.
Yeah, but notoriously we've been quite good with Everton. That's one club that Levy hasn't spoiled.
Well, it seems like though, Ellie, how have we not spoiled that relationship? With
I don't know.
With Ali being sent there. It looks like Harry Winks is being sent there. I don't know how they're not upset with us.
Through history, we had Pienaar and a few other players came. Lineker, I think, came from Everton, if I'm right. So what it is, right? Levy's got to stay out of negotiations. Let the men who know how to negotiate, because he always ruins things anyway. He's notoriously trying to undercut. So we've got to keep him out of the equation. I know that he's doing the Jed Spence one, but look, that one's stalled as well. They probably want more money off him, and he's saying, no, I'm going to pay £10 million less. But it's a good one. I think Richarlison is very versatile. Will he take us to the next level? The jury's out on that one, because I don't think he's top notch. He's a bit under the top notchers, in my opinion.
Richarlison.
I was saying Rafinha is top notch.
Yeah. Do you feel maybe the reason...
That's my type of player anyway.
Is Rafinha more worth the price that they're asking, Ellie, do you think? Like 60, 65 million, whereas Richarlison, in your eyes, maybe not worth the price that they're asking?
I wouldn't say he's not worth it. I'm just saying that Rafinha's a better player.
Yeah, I think a lot of people agree with that. That is true.
Yeah. Even though he's not more as versatile as Richarlison, he can offer more. And Conte will give him a major role in our side as that right wing back, and he can pull out a pass. His passing accuracy is high, so maybe this Gordon one is a smoke screen. You never know, because Spurs are always good for a smoke screen.
Maybe we're getting Andros Townsend back, Ellie. Who knows?
Oh my God, no. No. I mean, he's not a bad player, Andros Townsend, but no.
Definitely not.
Good
Don't want him back. No. His dad is a Spurs fan. His dad is a Spurs fan.
Yeah, he's half Cypriot. He's half Cypriot as well. So I've got a little soft spot in my heart for him, being Cypriot myself. But I'll tell you what, we need to go for the higher profile players. Like, we've got to get this Bastoni deal over the line, or Bremer, or Gvardiol. We've got to get these ones in first, I think.
Do you think we have to get one of those 3? Because Ellie, right? It looks like what the sad situation is that Bastoni doesn't look like it's happening. Gvardiol is very, very difficult because he only moved to Leipzig last season. And so that's always a tough situation to negotiate when someone only just moved there. And then in the case of Bremer, like, maybe he could be someone we go after, but he sort of, has pledged, his, faith towards Inter Milan. It's a tough situation where, like, Spurs' main targets are all not keen on going to Spurs.
Well, I was listening to one very distinguished Italian on another channel, and he said the Bastoni deal is not over because Inter have to balance their books.
They do.
And they can't register players until they get rid of some. So, because they're bringing in Lukaku, they're bringing in another 2 other players whose names, I've forgotten. But if they can't register them, they've got to move some players out, right? So they're trying to get rid of Skriniar, and then Bastoni is the other one. So it's not a dead deal yet. That's why I think Paratici's over there. Paratici, sorry. I have to say it the proper Italian way. Paratici.
Do you think he's?
I think he's over
deals? Yeah.
I think he's over there to get this Bastoni deal over the line, because I'm sure Inter, they have to get someone off the books regardless, and they haven't sold Skriniar to my knowledge. So, you know, they're
Do you,
still.
there's
they're
the.
still
Do you think
light
the
at the end of that
Zaniolo is a
tunnel.
smokescreen? Because a lot of people. I did a video
Yes,
recently,
I do.
Ellie, about Zaniolo. Do you think that's the smokescreen? Is Zaniolo is like a pretend sort of rumor that he's going after? Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't see
That's clever.
Jose selling one of his best players because he is a
especially
good
Jose.
player.
Especially
Do you know what I mean? We gave him the boot 6 days before a final, and he's going to give us one of his best players. I don't think so. I think that is a definite smokescreen, and there'll be another one that comes out of the pipeline. Still, I still think there's one surprise to come out. You know, let's wait and see. Let's see what cooks.
Let's see what cooks. He's still got...
Yeah.
Are you worried? Are you worried, Ellie? Because he has, about less than 2 weeks, to get more of these signings in before they set off to Korea. Are you getting a bit worried, or do you think that Paratici is going to get some through the door?
I'm not worried. I'm just, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm excited.
I think we're getting a bit tense. I think it's getting a bit tense.
Because it's still 2 weeks, right? There's still 2 weeks. And I think you get a few more days extra to register them if you don't get it over the line. I'm sure you get 48 hours. So, So I'm excited to see who we're going to get. And I just want us to buy players that are going to take us to the next level. Don't settle for second best or third best. You know, Rafinha, he's a first place player in my book. Richarlison, he's second place in my book. If I wanted to go for 2 players, I would go for Rafinha because he's more skillful. He's a better passer of the ball. He can beat his man more easily, and he can cross on a dime. You know, that's what we need because we've got Harry Kane and Sonny waiting in the middle. You know, because Kane, if we get Rafinha, he can drop into that hole as well because he's a very clever player. He can come inside, and because he's better than Mora at keeping the ball, and then we've got Kulusevski. You can't ask for more, Jack, because these players, they're first class. Kulusevski, he's fantastic. He's got his left foot. Rafinha bombing down the right to feed him as well if he wishes to, or he can just beat his man, cut inside, cross the ball. You know, we've got so many options if we get him.
What do you make of the fact that, some people like Sean, I believe, and as well as Bjorn here, think that, the fact that we're strengthening the front line right now, they think that's the last of the priorities.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that Paratici is in Italy to get a couple of defenders. I think he might even go over to Spain to try and get the boy from Barca. I can't pronounce his name. I think it's Longley.
Yeah,
Longley, that's it. Yeah, I think he will be one that might be brought in on loan as a backup. Yeah, because he won't mind playing backup because he's been out of favour for 2 years at Barcelona. So, they haven't put him on the shelf. They're just saying, look, you're not good enough yet. You're not good enough at the moment, so we'll put you on the shelf and see who comes in for you, and maybe we'll get that one on loan.
Right.
I'm excited. That's why I want to see who we're going to bring in.
I'm excited to see who we'll bring in as well, Ellie. But I am a bit worried, in the defender department because I think signing a center mid is quality, signing a wing back and a utility player like Perisic is quality. But we do need to get, I think, another wing back in, and we need to get a center back in. And I'll be worried if we don't have one of those. I mean, we need to get at least one of those by the trip to Korea, because this is what Antonio Conte wanted at the end of the day. He wanted those players in, by the time he sets off.
And then there's the Ndika, which was touted a week or so ago. So there's another one on the table. But I think a lot of them are smoke screens, and I think we're actually going for Bastoni. And I think he's there just to get that one, to speak to his agent and speak to the Interboard and say, you've got to let him go because you're going to be in deep trouble and you won't be able to register all the players that you're trying to get over the line. And I trust the Italian guy who said this, because he's in the know and he knows his stuff about Italy. Yeah.
He knows his stuff over in Italy. He does.
Yes.
Ellie, absolutely right. And I just wanted to. Sorry, I'm actually just trying to find a stream that you were just on, the Keith Birkinshaw one over on Tottenham Gold, because I
yeah.
want to plug something that
Oh
Ellie
my
was on recently,
God.
because I know you were on our channel
I
as well, and
love
I'm pretty
that.
sure people can find that. But sorry, Ellie, that's why I was just off
Tottenham
screen for a
Gold.
bit. I was trying to find that stream. So everybody do check out her Keith Birkinshaw stream. But Ellie, tell us about that one. What did you do over at?
It was
Tottenham
brilliant.
Gold?
Right, so it was me and Dermot and Izan and the Godfather himself, Philip Brady, and we were all talking about Keith Birkinshaw years, what it meant to us as fans and our experiences when he was our manager. And basically, I was talking about how we got Ozzy Ardiles and Ricky Villa. That was the main talking point, actually, and the way that he came in and took over the team, we got relegated, come back up, and all our experiences, really, going to the 1981 Cup final. I was only 18 at the time, so it was like my first big major trophy that we won, and it was so exciting, Jack. When you're 18, you're like a little
honestly
baby,
Ellie,
really.
your memory, especially for back then, is incredible, because I can barely remember any results from this season, and this is what I'm practically doing every day, and I still remember. I your memory is incredible, I must say, Ellie. I'm very jealous.
Because the Birkinshaw years, they were special, because we had Glenn Hoddle, we had Ozzy Ardiles, we had Ricky Villa, we had Mickey Hazard as a backup to them, which was fabulous. We had the fantastic Graham Roberts. We had Tony Galvin bombing down the wing. And then all the rest of the team, Steve Perriman, what a captain. Fantastic. And a lot of people have had him on their channel. And I'd love you guys to get him as well, Jack, because it's just tap him up and get him on your channel, because he's fabulous. I don't know if you watch his podcast. They're fabulous. Steve Perriman's. They're really good and insightful about those times when we won the cups. And like when you win the FA Cup, in those days, it was very, very special. But now, like, the European stage has taken over. But in my heart, the FA Cup is the one to win. I even like it better than the League Championship, because I've never seen us win the league, because I was born in 1962, Jack. And 1961 is when we did the double. And then we won the FA Cup in 1962 when I was born, and the European Cup Winners' Cup in 1963. And then when I was 5, that's when I went to my first cup final with my dad. And I was only 5, remember? But I remember it vividly. When you're a little kid, I was 18, I knew what I was doing. But at 5, you don't. But I just remember the roar of the crowd at Wembley, and then when they brought the cup back to White Hart Lane, it was fabulous.
Yeah. Ellie,
so
really
special
memories that
memories
with us here on the Irish Hotspur.
Nice. You're my pleasure.
Check that out on Tottenham Gold. Everybody, check out Ellie's stream, Keith Birkinshaw's stream. Philip Brady, who you remember from the beginning of the show as well, was also on there. Izhan, who plenty well from this channel as well, and then
he's
Dermot
a lovely,
over at Tottenham 10.
So knowledgeable.
Yeah,
he's a good young fan. Somebody who knows about the past as well, which is good.
He wants to know about the past, to be fair to him as well. He's an avid learner, Ellie. He wants to know about the past. And Toffee20 saying Ellie lived the golden years. She certainly did.
I did.
Toffee. Ellie, appreciate you coming on, and thank you for giving us the time this evening. And we'll speak to you soon, and we'll probably have you on a panel or something very soon, Ellie. So I'll be seeing you very soon.
Thank you. You take care. Bye-bye.
Come on, you Spurs. Bye, Ellie.
Come on, you Spurs.
Big up. Everybody, show Ellie the love in the chat that she deserves. We have one last guest this evening, everybody. Last guest. And it is going to be Michael, who actually made a bit of a buzzer beater sort of return onto this one. And he's going to finish us off. And I'm pretty sure he has plenty to say. He had a very, very good call-in last Friday. And I know plenty of people really enjoyed it. So I would say, everybody, give this guy a good listen. Michael, how you doing, my man? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Jack. I'm back. Ready to
Made it just in time, man. Made it just in time. Usually you're kind of like Philip, you're like Ellie, plenty of others. I feel like you have something on your mind, before, I ask you something. Anthony Gordon plus Richarlison, is clearly what a lot of people are talking about. But, what do you want to think about? Like, what's on your mind, my man?
Yeah, that whole Richarlison plus Gordon deal, like, it seems kind of impossible to me. I'm willing to get pleasantly surprised, but I'm not expecting to, if you know what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
I just struggle to believe that they would sell like their best player and their best youth prospect and all of that in one deal.
Yeah, because Anthony Gordon and Richarlison are literally their best players,
right?
Literally their best players. It seems absurd. Like, it would be, like, I don't know. Like, I said 80 million is what they would take.
That's a fair price in my opinion.
But some people were thinking that they would take 60 million because of their financial situation. I don't know, Michael. Like,
I would say something else. I'm not quite sure, but from what I've heard, their financial situation is really bad, like really, really bad. They have the biggest debt in, not including us, but we are self-sustainable, so that debt doesn't hinder our finances, right? But they are way over financial fair play, and I feel like they have to. I'm not sure, so if someone please correct me, but I feel like they have to make a lot of money.
They're not in good of a negotiating position, right?
And like the only reason I could see this deal going through is, for example, if we cooked the books a bit with them, and for example lowered the value of Richarlison and higher the value of Gordon, so that they could, like, because the
maybe
transfers
both
aren't
making them both like 40 million or something.
Yeah,
like,
because
Gordon for 40 million, Richarlison for 40.
Yeah, the transfers aren't paid in one like payment, right? They are spread out over like some period of time, right?
Yeah.
So if you made the Richarlison transfer a bit lower and Gordon's a bit higher, then possibly they could make more money to balance the books better. So that's like the only way I could see this transfer happening. And speaking of players themselves, I spoke with you about Richarlison a lot, but in terms of Gordon, I saw like the Merseyside derby where he was a real menace for Liverpool in the first half, and the kid has talent, but what makes him better, in my opinion, than Spence, I know they play different roles, just as a profile of player, right? Is that he's like the same type of player in terms of like a young talent that can be developed, but he's proven in the Premier League. So we've seen him play against like the big teams, right? Whereas with Spence, I'm not convinced by him. I've said it to you too, that I feel like there is a lot of risk in bringing in Spence, especially if we want to consider him our like starter or competition for Doherty. So yeah, I wouldn't mind if we brought Gordon. I would be buzzing, right? That's an exciting young player, and as I said, he is proven. I just feel like it's not really that highly possible as someone would think it is, right?
Yeah, it doesn't seem possible, but if it were to happen, I think no Spurs fan would be upset about it. Do you see him as like a Bergwijn, sort of replacement? Because I'm kind of in Kieron's boat, from earlier, where if we're going to sell Bergwijn, as much as we might want to see him go, we need to still replace him, at least in my opinion. So do you feel like Gordon could be like a Bergwijn replacement, maybe?
Yeah, so that comes back to the talk that we had on Friday,
last time,
where we discussed if we have to have 5 or 6 forwards in the team, right? And yes, 6, of course. I would be buzzing if we had 6 like capable players. And in terms of Gordon, I feel like he's not necessarily like the same type of player that Bergwijn is. I feel like there is like a different style to both players, but in terms of a role that he fulfills on the field, I guess he is like that left wing back substitute for Sonny, and I feel like with his age and with like him not necessarily needing to play a lot to be in the national team, I feel like he could settle for a backup role.
That's a good point, actually. He's actually one of those players that doesn't really have a shot, getting into his national team. So we don't have to worry about that situation.
Ironically,
other players we do.
Ironically, buying English players, not the top ones, means that they will never pretty much have a chance
the ones
at national
on the periphery.
team, right? Yeah, so yeah, as I said,
Smart.
I would be happy if we brought him. I just don't really see that happening. And the problem I've started to realize recently about this whole transfer window is that it's really hard to speculate about players that we are linked with, because we are linked with almost everyone you could think of for the roles that we need, right? Everyone of like certain quality. And then out of nowhere we signed Bissouma, which pretty no one reported on except Ali Gold, right? So the way I started looking recently at that transfer window is that when before the end of the season, Ali Gold was doing his podcasts, his vlogs, should I say, and he was saying that he expects us to bring 5 to 6 players in like wing backs roles, left center back, the midfielder, and an attacker, right? And in my mind, I went, okay, so like the dream signings for me, but realistic ones would be like Kostic, Pau Torres, Joachim Meile. I said
Joachim
Konrad
Meile.
Leimer and some forward. I was talking with you about like Emmanuel Dennis from Watford. I would be.
I think
happy
that's
with
the smartest of the backup strikers to go for. As much as I would love to have Richarlison, I think Emmanuel Dennis is still the smartest of the choices.
Yeah, I think that he has a lot of quality, and again, he,
For the best
I know
price
that.
too.
Yeah, I know we Spurs fans had the discussion about like we need to get rid of the backup striker thing and actually think about competition for our forwards, right? But of course, when I made that list of 5 players, I didn't know about the 100 or 150 million cash in that our owners did, right? So yeah, I went with those 5 players, and then in my mind, I was, of course, it doesn't have to be those 5 players exactly, but I want players of similar quality, each model. Sorry, my brother came into the room. Yeah, and I said to myself, it would be nice if it was 5 players of that quality. And we already got Bissouma, which I'm perfectly fine with, and we already got Perisic, which I'm perfectly fine with. I would be a bit happier with Kostic, but Perisic is fine for me, right? And now I'm waiting for the left center back, right wing back, and the forward. And there is plenty of fish in the market, let's say. And I'm not really like that upset that possibly Gvardiol or Bastoni aren't like we aren't able to get them, just because I feel like let's say that in a rating of 0 to 100, Bastoni would be like 96, let's say. Gvardiol would be 95. In my opinion, like Ndika, Pau Torres, and guys of those type would be like 90 to 89, which is still more than enough, right? And yeah, I'm not sure. I would prefer us to do business rather than haggle over players that we
you want to
might
get
not
some
be able to
signings through
get,
the door
right?
at this stage. Yeah, we want to get. I think because the big issue is that I think we want a center back at least, or a right wing back at least, before we set off for Korea.
Yeah,
because it seems like
definitely.
those are the most important positions that Conte wants to be able to experiment with. Because I think a lot of the reasons that maybe this Korea trip is so important is, I don't know if people realize this, but those preseason, sort of kind of friendlies and those preseason sort of tournaments, they actually use that as a huge time for like training and like, kind of getting back into shape. They always make a big show of it as well. It's kind of for PR, it's for like commercial reasons, but it's not like they're just, relaxing out in Korea. Like they're actually training especially hard for the upcoming season. They just use those sort of destinations, those sort of tournaments as like a way to make money on top of all the intense training that they're doing. So I know it, maybe this Korea trip looks like a great way for PR, a great way for like, to make a bit of money. But on top of that, that's actually part of the preseason training, regime, Michael, and we don't want players missing out on that.
Yeah, and I think it's also even more important looking at the destinations that we are heading to, because one of them is Korea, right? And we all know how important Korea is for Spurs, right? Because like, you know, a huge part of our fan base is from Korea, right? It's nothing like new, and I believe that even for like PR reasons, we probably should get a good showing there. Also, then we go to Israel, as far as I remember, right? We play Roma and Sevilla in Israel, or Sevilla is in Korea. I'm not quite sure which
No,
matches
you're
were,
right. Yeah, no, you're
but we go to Israel, and also Israel is really important for our like image, right? Because you know there is a big history of our club connected to Jewish people, and you know like plenty of callers that you have or who are on We Are Tottenham TV are of Jewish origin, and you know it's really important to give those people a chance to watch our club and watch our performance.
For all the international fans, you know,
for all the
this is a
international
huge
fans.
summer.
I would be buzzing if Tottenham came to Poland, right? But of course they won't, because there is no good team to play here.
Next time.
Yeah, there is no good team to play here, so you know it's kind of rough. My best chance of watching Spurs in Poland would probably be if
maybe a Germany sort of like kind of
either Germany or there is talk of Shakhtar Donetsk playing their Champions League matches in Poland. Well, because of course they can
that
play
could be
in Ukraine.
And who knows? Maybe we get matched up with them, and then we get matched up
maybe
with
if we
them.
drew them in Champions League, I could probably
That'd be
manage
absolutely
to get a
crazy.
ticket.
Nice, my man. Very, 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 very cool. I just want to ask you, you know, maybe just quickly another question, you know, kind of one to maybe end off on, you know, Antonio Conte on Instagram, you know, he's showing himself working out. Brian Hill has taken some photos of himself working out recently, has even come out and said that he gained 2 kilos during his time at Spurs. And I said he probably needs to gain 2 more on top of that. But what do you make of the fact that do you think Conte is going after a certain type of player? Like, you know, like you said, quality players, of course, but he maybe is going after like strong, built, physical players. And like you even brought up with me on Friday, sometimes that's a bit unfair, you know, to maybe people who aren't built that sort of way. But at the end of the day, do you think Conte is sort of looking at those players and, you know, maybe even choosing those players over other players because they have those physical, strong, you know, sort of attributes?
Yeah, I feel like what
like a meaner looking Spurs next season. We're gonna have a meaner looking Spurs.
Yeah, I've said plenty of times that I feel like at least a couple of months ago I felt like our team was a bit soft. I mean, character wise, and you know, we lacked that spitefulness. Like, you know, the example I gave, I think I was speaking with Ben and Sim on We Are Tottenham TV, and they said that, you know, during international matches, for example, when I watch our national team, right, and one of our players gets fouled in the middle of the pitch, I can bet that Lewandowski within 5 minutes will elbow that player that faulted our player. And, you know, he's smart about it. He knows like how to rile players up, and you know how to draw cards, and you know he's that captain figure that kind of like protects our team in a sense, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, the defenders have in mind that when they fall like one of our like lesser built player, let's say, they are getting like pummeled within next 5 to 10 minutes. And you know there is that thing that I think we lacked for more than a season actually, because you know, we had a couple of aggressive players, aggressive in terms of like spiteful, you know, and Romero is that, and you know, even other players like Kulu or Bentancur started showing it, right? Because you know, Sonny isn't like a player to.
I'd rather Sonny be one of the nicer players in the team, but if you're right, because this team was so nice and so kind of on the softer side that Sonny was probably one of the meaner players like in the team, when he really is in actuality one of the nicer guys. And it's nice to have more players that can make Sonny look like the nicer player, which he is, because this team, like you said, was so nice, so soft, that genuinely it almost looked like Sonny was sort of one of like the tougher players. Like in the team.
Yeah.
Like, that's how
He sometimes looked a bit like a
when in actuality he's like the nicest of all the
he's-
players like in world football. That's how soft this team really got, to be fair. Like Sonny looked like the intimidating, kind of, like player in that team. When really he's sort of the silent assassin, if you'll be honest.
So coming back to your question, then I feel like with like the most probable signings that we already got in, right? Like Perisic, all Balkan players are tough. It's just built into their heart and mind. It's really. It was
he's
really,
even on steroids. I would even argue, probably
like
Perisic by the looks of it.
Yeah, like what people don't realize is that just 20 years ago there was like a home war. How do you call it? Like when people in one country fight with each other, or like neighboring countries.
Civil war.
There were civil wars like just 2 decades ago, right? Someone like Perisic probably was a kid when
I think he was actually he's so old. I think Perisic is so old that he was actually born technically when it was still called Yugoslavia.
Yeah,
I think that's old.
Yeah, Croatia fought with Serbia, Serbia fought with Montenegro, Montenegro with Bosnia. All of them fought each other, right? So it's really a rough place where you are getting brought up in like rough. You have to be hard to survive there, basically, right? Then again, with Bissouma, he's built like a tank. And maybe he
really
didn't necessarily show like those like spiteful characteristics on the pitch, but I feel like he isn't someone who can be bullied easily, right?
Yeah.
And then with Richarlison, we know how much of a dickhead he is, right?
No, believe me, this is the whole point, is that I feel like we're going after these sort of molded players, and we're changing the look, the mentality, if not the sort of like attitude around the dressing room when it comes to Spurs. And in fact, I feel like coming into next season, we're gonna try to be a different type of Spurs, one that teams don't want to play, because even when we were feared by a lot of teams, people liked playing Spurs because it felt like they were more of a pushover, felt like maybe they were a bit nicer, a bit softer, like you said. It seems like, Antonio Conte is really trying to change that with some of the signings that he's brought in. I completely agree with you, Michael. But Michael, anything, before I let you go that you maybe wanted to say that we didn't touch on, anything that, you feel like you'll regret that you didn't bring up with me before I let you go, especially as the last guest?
Yeah, I know. I was thinking a lot about the Gvardiol deal and whole shenanigans regarding him. And from what I've seen on the internet, I've seen that both him and Nkunku and a couple other players signed new deals that include release clauses that only activate during next summer. And what I feel like is that Leipzig are trying to prepare for like a big sellout next summer, and that's why I feel like they given new contracts to those players to keep them for one more year, because that's usually what they do, right? They gather like a lot of talented players, they nurture them, they train them, they raise their value, and then they move them on. So I feel like Gvardiol really won't be happening this season for anyone this summer, just because he just signed a new deal, like even talking about the previous one from the previous summer. So I feel like I would love him, but unless we like come up with an offer that you cannot refuse, like 90 million or whatever, something mad, I don't think that Leipzig will even consider any offers. So yeah, I'm really keen on Pau Torres, especially because like all of the other targets are really hard to get. And as I said, I feel like him and Ndika are that a bit lower level, but just a bit, And I would be perfectly fine if you brought Ndika or Pau Torres. And the reason I'm mentioning Pau Torres so much is just because I still feel like there is a business to be done with Lo Celso to Villarreal. So, it's, as I said, in the end, we all know basically fuck all about the transfer market, right? So we can only speculate. And as I said, I have like a certain profile of player in my mind that I would love us to bring. And so far we achieved 2 out of 5, and we have still plenty of time. And I feel like the key dates in upcoming weeks will be this Thursday. I think that Philip Brady mentioned it, right? That the 30th of June is like the end of financial year for most of the clubs, and they have to balance the books up until then. So I feel like the key date is this one, and the other one is before the week before 10th of July. So like, Friday, Thursday before the 10th. I will be buzzing in that week. I'm hopeful. I'm cautious also. I don't want to say that, I'm over the moon, but then I will be like, down under. I'm cautious about my feelings about this transfer window because I still have a lot of
Do you think we'll have, maybe last question, do you think we'll have 2 signings in by the time we set off for Korea?
I feel like this will happen. I feel like one will happen this Thursday, or like, around Thursday.
One will happen this week, maybe another
this week and another next week. I struggle to believe that we'll get all of our transfer.
I don't think that was ever the case, though, to be fair. So that would actually be job well done, because it was never the case that Antonio Conte wanted all of his signings, by Korea. He just wanted, I think he wanted 4 or 5 of them. I think he said, by Korea. I think he said he wanted all the important ones essentially done, by then. So I think perhaps Spurs could be doing that. Maybe we still have time to be able to get that done.
Yeah, I think like the main thing that he wanted to achieve is light the fire under the ass of our management, right? And to say, like, I demand that you actually do something, right? Because, he's not a stupid man. He knows how Spurs have operated in the past years, right? So he knows how, he trained plenty of teams so far. So he knows how big of a deal it is when players come in early and they get to know how it is to work with him, right? And what he demands from them. And, it's not necessarily even him, like, just because, he has a fluke and he wants to, just bring me players. I'm Antonio Conte. He knows how important it is for the next season, right? Because he wants to win things, and he realizes that if we bring a player in the end of August, when we are already like 5 matches deep into the Premier League, that's not how we should be operating. Because by that player will only start playing by the 10th match.
Right? I actually think, to be honest, Michael, I actually am quite happy that, we have Antonio Conte and Paratici working together, because Paratici seems like a guy who works quickly, and then Antonio Conte is a guy who's not going to take any sort of funny business. He's not going to, be lied to. He's not going to, fall for any tricks from Conte or from Paratici or from Daniel Levy. So full confidence. And you answered my question, 2 signings, but before we set off for Korea. Michael, absolute pleasure, my man. Really appreciate you coming on, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Bye. Have a nice week.
Come on, you Spurs. Everybody, big up Michael in the comments. Our man out in Poland. Really good man to end off with. I think he did a similar thing actually on Friday. And again, I would even say just find that conversation I had with him on Friday. It was a really, really good one. And honestly, I think if we just pass the time with it as well. But everybody, end of the fan show here. I did put the links to flatcapeurotalk to check out maybe some of the videos that have come out. Did do a Zaniolo vid, Antonin Barak vid, others coming out plenty of this week. David is finally returning tomorrow. You can finally be, done with me. David is making that return. If you've gotten sick of me by this stage, don't worry. David will be back tomorrow on Tuesday. But really do appreciate everybody that has stuck with us, for the majority of these, days. I think we have gone live every day since like Thursday, by the looks of it. And we've done everything from, discussion panels to fan shows and whatnot. So we really do appreciate you all in the Harris Army for showing us the support, as well as keep hitting that like button, as well as putting in your comments and just watching us during this whole time period. I think we're going to still be live tomorrow because David will be back, and I'm pretty sure he wants to be live, be able to chat with all of you guys. Do really appreciate all the support. Really appreciate all of you for showing me a bit of the love this whole time. But like I said, we'll be back tomorrow with another live show, and Dave will be back for that one. And then, we'll keep plowing on, and hopefully we'll have some signings, by, the end of this week. And then maybe he will have at least 2 signings by the end of, by the time we set up for Korea. But everybody, like I said, check out Flat Cap Euro Talk if you're looking for some extra vids to watch. But that'll be all for now. As always, everybody, come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust, and I will be seeing you.